The time for this debate has expired. I call on private and local order of the day number 1.
Royal New Zealand Foundation of the Blind Act, Repeal Bill, third reading.
Simon O'Connor.
I move that the Royal New Zealand Foundation of the Blind Act repeal.
On behalf of...
Sorry. Oh, right, jolly good. On behalf of the Honourable Nikki Wagner, I move that the Royal New Zealand Foundation of the Blind Act repeal bill be now read a third time. Mr. Speaker. Look, very pleased to take a call. If I might, before I begin, I too just want to acknowledge the role of the Governor-General. We celebrated his service to the realm of New Zealand today at a state lunch. And just want to put on the record to him and to Lady Janine my gratefulness for what they have done. I think amongst many things, they've been very good on the accessibility to Parliament and in terms of their work as a vice-regal office. Moving to the bill itself, it's clear that I am not the Honourable Nikki Wagner. She is unable to be able to speak at this exact moment in time as she takes ministerial duties and has asked me as the Chair of the Health Committee to speak on her behalf. She has strongly and proudly spoken on this bill through all other parts, and here we are now at the third reading. This bill has often been mentioned is relatively simple, but it is relatively significant as well for the Royal Foundation of the Blind. Fundamentally, what this bill seeks to do is to basically remove the foundation, now known as the Blind Foundation, from the statute books. It's basically been constituted for many years under statute. That has served it very well. But in recent years, in fact back on I think the 10th of January 2012, the Foundation registered itself as an incorporated society. It was felt, not that I can speak on behalf of the Foundation, but only from what we heard in the committee, understand that by becoming an incorporated society, that is a better fit for effectively their purposes, fit for purpose in this modern environment. And ultimately, it's made the current Act defunct, unnecessary. In order to make those changes, it's had to come to our Select Committee, which it has. It was a relatively easy process. There was only a few clauses ultimately, and so it is going to seek that the Foundation is removed from the statute books and it will be able to govern itself accordingly. I was there recently actually at the Foundation, the Blind Foundation in Parnell. Most people actually know of the Foundation, obviously of the work it does, but most people in Auckland will know of the Jubilee building. While that itself now has been handed over to council, the buildings around it are actually run by the Blind Foundation for about effectively 12,000 New Zealanders, not all in Parnell, but that's the main office. And I think it's probably quite important too that it can be very easy to fall into the trap, if you will, of thinking that the Blind Foundation is only for those who are blind. Well, actually, it's also for those with low visual impairment. And the services they provide really are quite remarkable and broad-reaching. I suppose I want to put on the record, and I know it's from the Minister as well, our grateful thanks for the service which they provide to fellow Kiwis. In my own visit there, there's actually a really good learning curve into their particular needs. I was there in my capacity as Chair of the Health Committee, and they wanted me to talk them through how the political process works, which I was happy to do so. I mean, what politician isn't happy to get up and talk? But at the same time, it was a valuable opportunity. It was a valuable opportunity for me. The humility coming from the other side, it's quite striking. The opportunity was also there for me to hear what their various needs were, and one of them was, and I think it's important to put on the record today, was actually around greater accessibility. I'm not going to take too much time of the House explaining that, other to encourage people to actually go back to the Youth Parliament debates. It was one of the bills that was put before the House here by our youth parliamentarians, and I'm actually quite proud to say that the youth MP for Tamaki, Aaron Darman, gave one of the speeches strongly in support of the need of greater accessibility, particularly those with visual impairment of some sort. So again, an encouragement, I suppose, to the House to understand that this bill is only an organisational change. but the organisation itself would be encouraging us as a parliament, as representatives of the people of New Zealand, to look at other ways to better engage and assist those Kiwis with visual learning difficulties. Look, importantly too, and the Minister was keen that I or draw out a particular, effectively semantic issue. It's that the Blind Foundation has moved from being the blind or the foundation for the blind to the foundation of the blind. It's probably no surprise to this House that I believe words are important, and fundamentally this change going from for to of, again, a little bit like the bill, quite simple but also quite meaningful. The foundation now is of the blind. This is self-empowerment. This is the community itself, the blind and visually impaired community, Mr. Speaker, being able to lead their own efforts, provide their care within the community, and to ask society as a whole to support them. This is no longer sort of a passive for, if you will, where actually this is a community that needs everybody else to come in and help them. And I think it's an important signal too of how we approach disability issues in this country. So look, want to begin wrapping up, and it really is to say thank you to everyone involved. Again, a relatively simple process, including through the Select Committee, but any bill, as members will know, has a number of people involved. Thanks to them, but it's particular thanks to the Foundation for the Blind for seeking to continue to be a modern group, servicing the needs of their people as they require today. As a personal note, I would certainly encourage them to keep up their royal patronage. I think that's in line with keeping with what we heard from the Governor-General and Lady Janine today, not about them in particular, but the value of royal patronage. But also want to wish them effectively a happy 126th birthday. It's 126 amazing years of service. Long may it continue. And now, in this case, through the passing, I trust, of this repeal bill, that they will be able to do that as an incorporated society. And so I commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr. Speaker.
Williams.